Discussion items requested.
Okay, so I sent the board in the Friday update. The date is for February 22nd. The IASB coordinator will be Ms. Nakia Hall. We discussed having approximately, she'd like to keep it to 30 to 35 participants so that she feels that it could still be an effective group, but not too large.
How was that split up with?
It was in the Friday update. So first of all, there was a question on the location. So it'll be in the Alumni Lounge on campus.
Okay.
The schedule is from 9 to 2. I sent out a draft agenda on the Friday update. So there's a section for introduction and overview, and understanding of values and beliefs, which will be a small group activity. Some topics would be, what do we value and believe about students and learning, teachers and teaching, the responsibility of the school to the community, and the community to the school. The second part of the agenda, the third part of the agenda was then reviewing our current mission statement. Is our mission statement still relevant? Does our mission statement specify our purposes and reason for existing? There's a break. And then 10:45 to 11:45 would be a SWOT activity, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What is going well, what needs improvement? And the following categories would frame that discussion: student learning and needs, programs and services, both extracurricular and co-curricular, district facilities and finances, human resources and staff, and community and district relations. So this is the draft agenda. Then there would be a debrief with the public, and then there would be a break, and then there was some time from 12:30 to 2 for the board and administration to debrief and figure out what the next steps are, whether that would be another public session or if there had to be a workshop for the board and administration to work out things that they heard from the feedback in the groups.
So the start is 9 to, say, noon is absolutely an open session, correct?
Correct.
And we invite the stakeholder groups to come, but that doesn't mean that other people couldn't,
Observe.
what is similar to this setting, observe what's going on, correct?
Yeah, I need
Right,
to.
because it's a
yeah.
public meeting. Correct.
Correct, and I need to find out, that's a good point, and since all 7 board members are there, we are talking district business, like do we have to start off with the pledge and do a visitor comment session and then go into the activity? Because sometimes that's a formality of being an open meeting.
Well, and then as Mona was saying, if other people are observing, and if you have groups in active conversation, the people who are observing, do they have opportunity to also?
Well, I think that's where we have to balance of what she was saying of at what point do our groups get too large. So I had sent out a draft to the board on Friday, to roughly get to the 30 or 35. We have the board and the superintendent would be 8 people, 3 to 5 administrators, 3 to 5 representatives from the RBEA, which is our staff, our teaching staff, or they can have support staff. And then that leaves us roughly 10 to 15 on and then, what the board wants to do. We can either go one representative, formally send an invitation to each parent group to send a representative, like our PTO, our music boosters, and our RBF. We have the option if we wanted to extend the invitation to each of our main village boards, where a majority of our students come from, and maybe they want to send a rep. We could send it to our main feeder districts and see if they want to send a rep from their board or from their administration. The only issue, so she wanted to make sure that you had some, ideas, and if there's anybody else the board wanted to add, by extending these invitations so that at least you have somewhat of an idea how many people are going to participate, where if you just put it out there and then 5 people show up because it's a Saturday, it's going to be as productive. Now, you could have the reverse, you could have 50 people or 100 people show up, right?
Well,
So
That'd be
I think
positive.
that's why she was saying.
That's a good problem to have.
Correct.
perhaps.
Right.
Right.
You know, I think, you know, and I guess, whatever, I started talking, so I'll finish. But, you know, you have like those people, and I would admit, and I would lump us all into that category here sitting at this table, that always do, right? Like, we are always willing to donate our time, and, you know, we've all been like the Little League coach and the Brownie leader and the, you know, all these things. And we just do it, because it's like the way we're wired. And then you have those people that sometimes do, but they need to be like asked and kind of brought into the fold. And then you have like the people that never do. So sometimes I'm really interested in kind of what that middle group has to say, because you know, so I mean, I think most of the people on this list are, you know, the doers, which is awesome. We want their input. I'm just wondering if there's a spot for sort of, you know,
That's
another.
a really good point, but I'm wondering if that's going to be a takeaway from this, is that you're going to get the people who are like, yes, sign me up for an all-day session on Saturday, and maybe one of the takeaways may be, now we've got to dig a little deeper and do a.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
So you're getting a group of, the people mentioned, these are individuals who are highly invested, and it's a different kind of stakeholder than the average family or the family who sends their kids, they're working and they don't have time to be involved, or they're new to community or whatever. Whatever comes out of the workshop, because everybody can't be in the workshop, I think the next step is, how do we get that product into the hands, into a larger, to kind of present what that came out to the larger community, to say, does this represent you? Because we may find out, you know, we have teachers, we have board members, we're all very opinionated, and we think we know. We may find out we don't know.
That's why I was wondering, like, with the parent groups, if we send a general thing to each of their presidents and say, would you like to send a representative?
I like that idea of identifying the groups
So that's why
and then
I
let
sent
them
what I did on
identify
Friday.
who they want to
Within
send.
their unit.
Within
would
their
come-
group, who they want
Right.
to send.
My only thought of sending them, and my only thought of sending the invitation to each village president or mayor would say, do you want to send someone from your board who was elected by your constituents? Since this is the public, you know, do you want to send
Yeah.
someone from your board to be participate in this? So I was trying to figure out how we can get somebody, a representative at the meeting, but that also has perspective of hopefully a larger audience. You know, because
I
like,
think that's the point of it.
someone from the village board
Has a
representative,
different perspective.
they may come from the tax perspective that Laura's always bringing up for the people whose kids are gone or moved on or don't have kids here but live in the community and.
Right, we need the people who, their kids have graduated, because they have plenty to say, trust me. And we need somebody from our business bureaus. You know, every community has one, and they're paying for a lot of this too.
It's another, I could also send this to the Riverside Chamber and Brookfield Chamber
Right?
and ask if they want to send a representative.
And many of them are supportive, but they have things to say.
So, and another one of the stakeholder groups that you didn't mention here was the students.
Okay?
And our senior center, I think every community has a senior
So we
center.
got to figure out who we're
Well,
cutting, because then we're starting to get
get
over the
to
30,
like
35.
40.
There, weren't they?
Well, but our seniors, we have a significant senior citizen population.
Would they be represented by, isn't that the responsibility of the village reps to represent that population?
Well, the village reps are representing young families that are not at the high school yet. They're representing
I would hope
families
they're
that are.
representing all
and-
families, right?
Right? But you have seniors who are living either on fixed incomes, pensions, no pensions, or, you know, I don't know. I think we need, I hear from seniors. They have plenty to say to us. There's three senior centers? One in North Riverside, one in Brookfield, one in Riverside?
I don't,
Yeah, good.
Well, I think the Brookfield one is run by the rec department, which would, the rec department takes its direction from the Brookfield Village Board, so you've kind of gone all the way around there.
Well, I think I think we'd make an open invitation or find somebody who might represent. I know there are organizations that have classes, or the Y has the silver sneakers, and you have many of your local senior citizens there, or grandparents of kids, or something.
Yeah, do we have this one as a workshop, and then we do a series of general meetings?
So I think practically speaking,
afterwards, we were
it's the
talking to groups
14th
of
already of January, right? So these invites, they've got to go
Have to go
out
out.
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? And, I mean, maybe this suggestion is the invites to the groups that have been outlined, plus some of the additions here, see what the actual attendance is. It's a big commitment, it's a big time commitment to spend your Saturday. And then, you know, this group with our various Rolodexes looks at it and says, oh, we don't have anyone who appears to represent the senior population. Maybe we should target someone in particular.
Can I ask-
We
I
could
think we gotta
take
start
the
at some
executive
point.
decision of having a board of, we're gonna invite you, and we're gonna invite you.
Well, I think the other thing too is, you know, a good thing to remember is that if we wanted, the purpose of doing this is so that it wasn't, you know, some of the feedback you heard from when we met with the union a few years ago was that, hey, it's not just the board making the decisions, right? Or at least there's opportunities for input, so I think if you're sitting down with 30 or 35 people, I mean, that's a big start of a collaborative process. And you could say, hey, we got some input from staff, we got some input from parent groups, village leaders, students, right, or people who wanted to. I think that at least just shows that it's more than just 7 people sitting at a table or in a room making a decision. They're trying to get input, you know.
Can I just clarify? So let's say we have 35 people. We invite all of these different stakeholder groups to choose a representative. Is it not the work of that group then on that Saturday to come up with a strategic plan that will be in place 3, 5 years, whatever the timeline is? And then the work product that comes out of that session is the strategic plan we're using to move forward?
I don't think we're doing we're not doing a
is it-
strategic plan though.
Or
right
is
now.
it like what the work product that comes out of that day, then like Laura was just saying, does that then go, and is that then presented to other groups to give feedback on? And then we're gonna meet again?
I think that would be, that work.
'Cause now I'm
That
confused.
work plan would then come back to, we would then develop a strategic plan with.
Yeah, you're not
out
doing
of
a
that.
strategic plan in 3 hours.
No, we would do,
It
we
takes
would
6
take the
months.
Well,
feedback.
I've been in districts that
Then
we've
we
done
would-
a Saturday and we've had 50 people and the ISB has facilitated that, and at the end of the day, we had a working document that then was our strategic plan.
I
And
think
they
it's
took the
agenda.
ideas and
Doesn't
put it
quite
in
get
a
us there.
glossy and they sent it out to everyone and said, this is what the stakeholders agreed upon, and then that was that.
I think the first idea of doing this February 22nd was setting and identifying the goals and direction for the district. And then based on this feedback, I would assume seeing how this goes, if there's more work to be done, there would be a second session scheduled where then we start laying out a plan with these same attendees about, okay, is it realistic to, you know, is there something specific that needs to be more laid out in a 3 to 5 year
Well, I think
plan?
if there's a second session, like, we have to be clear if we're inviting people to let them know, you're not just signing up for one Saturday. You could potentially, if that's the case.
I mean, I can speak for how the D96 strategic plan went, where there was a kickoff similar to this and this discussion, and there was a lot of people from different groups. And then people in that room were asked, okay, who really has the time and energy to commit over the next 6 to 9 months to really drill down on facilities? And then you're part of a working group
Right,
that
because
comes up with
when you
a,
do the SWOT,
yes.
groups can form out of that,
Mhm.
right? Based on
Yeah.
start, stop, like,
Right.
don't like,
Mhm.
right? Have a passion for.
Right.
Okay, as long as we're clear on that, because when I was in a different district, we did it on a Saturday, and we walked away with a pretty good work product that was in place for several years.
And
So we
I
just
think we
have
need
to
to
remember
clarify,
that
like,
Didn't have that, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we need to clarify, right now, it's setting district strategic goals and direction. It's not a strategic plan of how we're achieving. So right now, we may walk out of this meeting with these groups and find out that a lot of the stuff we're doing is okay, but maybe they want a student advisor. Maybe the general consensus is, hey, spend a little more and put some stuff back to the classroom, or implement different programs. I think you gotta go through this kind of first to see if there's a need for a formal strategic plan, or just some tweaking to what we're doing and what's driving the board's decision making.
Yeah, the day's gonna inform probably that 12:30 to 2 o'clock piece. Or maybe
Back for next
we
steps.
need to, we actually we'll need to get a sense of that before, or maybe a little bit beforehand if we need to know if it's gonna be an open or a closed session, but I feel like.
Well, and I think any product that comes out of there, there should be a period of public comment where it gets posted on the website, and there's opportunity for people to read it and react to it.
Sure, I would
Now,
agree.
and maybe nobody comes, but, you know, that you could have just, you know, a quick like survey thing, but people will look at it and either react one way or another. Say, yes, I think you hit the target, or no, you missed this piece, or whatever. And that's how you sweep up the rest of your neighborhood.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. I think this is just kind of identifying how we're doing and what we're missing and not doing. And then what comes from this meeting is whether or not we need to, wow, we're really way off, we need to go 180 degrees in a different direction. Well, then you're gonna probably need a 3 to 5 year strategic plan of how you're gonna
Right.
do all that.
Right.
If this is more of, hey, we need to make a commitment to this, and we identify some key norms for the district or goals for the district, post those, create a formal document, get it out on the website, send it out in the newsletter, and don't do anything with it for a month or two and let people read it and and encourage people to come to make comments at a board meeting if they have concerns or think something's missing, right?
Right.
So my only comment to that end, and I agree that it has to be kind of a deliberative process, is the agenda is weighted very heavy on the philosophical for that first, hour and a half, the underlying values and beliefs, the mission statement, and then I think where we're all talking and we're really spending time is on this,
SWOT.
on the SWOT. So my suggestion back to ISBE is we condense that morning, the very early. My strong belief is our mission statement is been touched in the last 10 years. It's fairly comprehensive, and it provides a good umbrella for these discussions. I would be quite surprised if it needed
Needs 30
a
minutes.
complete overhaul, right? So I think but where we hear concerns and comments are on very specific things that fall in the SWOT analysis.
I would agree.
So maybe we spend a little bit more time on that piece, and then part of that is, not to have anyone having these discussions have them go in blind. I mean, I think the administration did a nice job of the communication survey, right? And so if the group that's talking about community and district relations, are they truly aware of what the current communication status is? Let's have them react to something present day in each of these buckets as opposed to just giving their opinion. Because I think that will add less value.
I would agree at 9 to 10:45, an hour and 45 minutes. That could probably be shortened so that a good hour and a half can be focused more on the SWOT.
Yeah, I think we just need to find it.
Or we flop the underlining values and beliefs and butt that up to the SWOT so that we kind of talk about, okay, what's important to the large group, right? We identify some key values or beliefs, and then we could go in our this will all be in small groups, groups of 5, groups of 6, and then be able to have the ability to report out from each group on different things. So that's why it says draft in the right corner. So is everybody in the same agreement that we want to see more time dedicated to the SWOT and our values and beliefs and less to the mission and just kind of overview?
What if you're swap the SWOT and the values and beliefs? Do we have to do values and beliefs before we do SWOT?
I think so. Can you get to SWOT if you don't, like, that's your your basement, your foundation, right? Like you have to kind of, it might not take long, but I think it has to be done first in order to set the stage and a good foundation for the rest of the discussions that we will have.
So the values and the beliefs are how we're judging ourselves to get to, when we get to the SWAT.
Or what we
Based
think.
on these values, are we doing this good, are we doing this bad, how can we do
Well,
better?
and not even that, though, you start with that, and then you say, well, does your mission statement truly represent your
Right,
underlying
keep,
values and
like,
beliefs?
looking back.
And so I'm going out on a limb and saying this discussion can be moved up and condensed a little bit.
Right, it may not take that long.
And they have a formula for doing this, right? They've facilitated these discussions before.
So would you like me to leave it the same, or maybe put after the introductions, the mission, and then, so that a majority of the time is the values, beliefs, and the SWOT?
Well, I think what you'll want to do is circle back. So you'll start with your mission and vision. Most people, because it's a
We don't
starting
have a
point.
vision, so it's just a mission.
Okay, mission will be slightly gun shy about changing it, but after you do your activity, it will become obvious that something is either missing or not there or whatever,
Right.
and then circle back to that.
And I think that's what the whole, okay. So I'm swapping mission with values and beliefs, flip-flopping those. I shouldn't say swapping, flipping.
And I was just being just very controlling and just saying the time, 9:30 to 10:15 doesn't need to happen, right? It could be 9:30 to 9:45.
Correct.
So that,
Or it could be 9 to 10, so I think.
right. I just think that the facilitator needs to understand that,
We want a majority of our time on the values
Yes.
and on the SWOT.
yes, so adjust accordingly.
Yep. Okay, so back to my original question. Am I sending it to, that I put in the Friday update? You think I should send it to those representative groups for now? See what the feedback is, and then if we need to
Do you
open
have the
it.
student?
I do not have
on there?
students
I think
down.
we should
Yeah, I
add the
think we
student.
should add student
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, we talked about adding it, right?
Yep.
I mean, I know
So I'm keeping some reps from the parent groups, reps from the village boards, rep from the feeder schools, and reps from student SA.
And what about our business? I mean, we're talking 3 people.
Riverside
Yeah.
Chamber and Brookfield Chamber. Okay.
Or chambers, yeah.
So how many does that put us at?
I think we'll still be I think we'll still be under 40, because I don't know how many students are gonna wanna come in on a Saturday, or if they have conflicting events, but I'll extend it to SA's executive board. The feeder schools, I'm assuming some of them are doing some things with their own referendums, but I will extend that invitation, so.
Yeah,
Key is
does
I
the board
got,
or
the key is I got
the
35 or 40 people to send an invitation to.
Right.
We might only get 20 people at RSVP, and we could
Oh,
open
I
it up.
think we'll get some.
We could open that up,
I think so.
okay?
Yep.
I have one in mind.
Mary Ann, we should probably leave this on as a discussion item for the next meeting as well,
So when will you be sending those invites out?
before the cow.
Okay.
But I don't,
The invite's written.
I won't have RSVPs, I'm not gonna send them out by the end of this week and then have them respond by the end of next week in the board pack, you know what I mean? So-
Right, because it'll take them.
So you'll have RSVPs by the next meeting, you think?
I won't.
Okay. I just think, again, from
I
schedules and.
could always share that in a Friday update, though. If I tell
Okay.
everybody I'd like to know by February 14th or February 7th, that still gives us 15 days if I need to open it to the community.
Again, schedules are just hard for everybody. My only other tweak is on the categories. Let's just separate facilities and finances. I think based on some of the comments and discussion we've had here, I think finances are kind of a separate entity from facilities.
Well, let's take a look at that. Is everybody okay with those categories? And so I'm not quite sure what human resources staff, I mean, unless thinking that means like our teaching staff, but could that be tied in under like student learning and needs? Are you okay, is everybody okay with those topics under the SWOT?
Well,
So it's student learning programs and services. Within parentheses says extracurricular, co-curricular. So basically I'm thinking that's all the extracurricular and co-curricular activities and services we provide students outside of just their traditional classes.
right, because that last part is the first part, student learning and needs.
That's number one, that's the
Right.
first bullet.
Right.
Second bullet is
Is
programs and
everything
services,
else.
right? Then we have district facilities,
Uh-huh.
district finances, human resources / staff,
That should stay.
community and district relations.
Yes.
And then are you opposed to asking the group if somebody believes there should be another category?
Oh, like at the session?
At the session?
Yeah, I don't
Sure.
have a problem with
I think
that.
then this is very open dialogue, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It should
those
be.
seem comprehensive, but somebody may have an idea that we,
Cafeteria items.
maybe, who knows? But,
Could be.
That's
Yeah,
programs
they're-
and services.
Okay,
Okay.
you're gonna put me in a bucket.
I'm gonna put them all in a
I
bucket.
mean, somebody
That's how I
might
operate.
bring, because, you know, some of the Chicago schools are doing, or some of the magnet schools, not necessarily public schools, like wellness. You know, they have health facility at the school and psychiatric, you know, psychologists and social workers, so that's a whole different area of service that's in some of the
Wouldn't
public
that be under
schools.
student needs?
Or human
Well,
resources
how
and
is that
staff.
different than what happens in the classroom? It's
We have-
qualitatively different enough.
I think we
that-
leave it open if someone wants to add something.
Yeah.
We could see if it fits in a bucket or how
Right.
John will make those buckets. I don't think we need to decide that
Correct.
today. I think our first start is to get the invitations out to the set invitees, see what kind of response we get. All right?
Sounds good.
Yeah, but think about that and draw on it, and we'll talk about it next meeting, too.
Right.
Because we can say, what about this one, or, you know, that's when we go back and
Right.
we kick it around the neighborhood, I get on the train with my guys, and, oh, what do you think about this? And we come up with 3 more ideas.
My advice to the board would be, you want to, let's see how, you know, yeah, you're right, if people have other things, or this grows or blossoms into something, but you want to use this one, that's why I'm saying this, this isn't really a strategic plan. This is kind of like a barometer or a measurement of how do you think things are going?
What's important?
Right, and if we
You just have
leave
to make sure
this,
she understands that, so she knows how to best facilitate the meeting.
correct, and I will work with her on
Yeah,
that, that's
so
not a
she
problem.
has a clear idea.
Good. All right, we're feeling better. We're moving forward.